Hey everybody, we've got some good news and some bad news. We've got some Ubisoft news. We've got some pro game news and some new game news. And then we've got some more bad news after that. So you guys know what to do. Click all of the YouTube buttons and let's get started. So our first bit of good news and bad news is all about Ubisoft. Before we get started on the good and the bad, I'm just going to get everybody up to date on what Uplay Plus is. Uplay Plus is this $15 a month subscription where you subscribe and you get access to over 100 Ubisoft titles to play on whichever platform you want to play them on, as long as that game exists on that platform. So, for instance, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Watch Dogs Legion, Phoenix Rising, all of those games are included in this $15 a month subscription, and that allows you to play them on PC, on Luna, that's right, and on Stadia. So what is the good news and the bad news about Uplay Plus? Well, first off, they're changing the name from Uplay Plus to Ubisoft Plus, which I do think is better. I'll give you the bad news first. The bad news is that it is coming to Amazon's Luna, which is Amazon's streaming service, basically the competitor to Google Stadia. It's coming to that platform first. It's coming on November 10th. The good news is that it is still coming to Stadia later this year. Now, we always knew that it was coming to Stadia later this year. However, there were many, myself included, that were starting to doubt whether or not it was going to make it onto Google Stadia this year because they hadn't said. Well, now they have said it is coming later this year. And the thing that's really cool about this is that because of Ubisoft's Connect, which is, they used to have this account system where you could like earn in-game rewards by playing the games, which was kind of cool. They're rebranding that, and it still has all of that functionality in it, but it also has all of your saves. So the games are all going to be cross progression. This is really, really huge for people who are super excited about things that are in Ubisoft Plus, like maybe Watch Dogs Legion, but maybe they're just only passingly interested in Stadia. Well, when Watch Dogs Legions comes out and they're playing it maybe on their high-end PC, but then they want to play it on the TV in the next room. That's where Stadia comes into play. Maybe they want to play it on their phone while they're at lunch break at work. That's where Stadia or Luna can come into play. And I think that this is really, really great because they're going to use the Ubisoft Connect feature in order to make sure that your save games are always there. That's really, really awesome. I love cross progression, and I think it's fantastic. There's also one more piece of really good news, and I feel like this was known before. There was a tweet back in, I think, 2019. Thank you to Monagon in our community Discord for finding the tweet for me. But there was a tweet from last year that basically said you had three options for playing games on Stadia. You could subscribe to Pro, which got you access to the Pro games. That's what everybody assumed was a requirement. It is not. Then you could just simply buy the games. So if there was a game that you wanted, like, say, I don't know, Baldur's Gate 3, you can buy that game and play it without subscribing to anything. And then the third option, which up until later on this year, it's not been a real option. You could subscribe to essentially a game channel, kind of like Ubisoft Plus, and have access to the games through there. And this is the kicker. This is the really, really good thing. No Pro required. I'm going to say that again because it's super important. All right. Grace from Google tweeted this out. Pro is not a requirement for using Ubisoft Plus. So if you want to play these games on Google Stadia and you don't want to subscribe to Pro, although I think you should because there's really good deals, which I'll talk about later on in the video. If you want to do that without subscribing to Pro, you absolutely can. And that's awesome. So I'm really, really excited about that. Let's move on to the Pro games. 6 new Pro games that are coming. There's Sniper Elite 4, Risk of Rain 2, The Gardens Between, Hello Neighbor Hide and Seek, Republic, and Sundered. Sniper Elite 4 is essentially a first-person shooter where you play as a sniper, and it's got this weird thing where when you shoot dudes, There's a chance that it will show you like the bullet going through him, which is really gross. I'm not interested in that. It's not a game for me, but not every game has to be for me. Risk of Rain 2 is a wonderful, wonderful roguelike. It has multiplayer. I prefer to play it single player. That game is fantastic. I've had so much fun with Risk of Rain 2, and now it's coming to Stadia Pro, which means that all of you who have been playing it, if you've been looking for people to play with, because it is a multiplayer game, now there's going to be a lot more people who are going to jump in and be playing Risk of Rain 2. It's really, really good. You definitely want to check this one out. The Gardens Between is a puzzle adventure game. I guess it came out in 2018, but it's new to me, so cool. Then there's Hello Neighbor Hide and Seek, which is essentially the sequel to Hello Neighbor. If you never played Hello Neighbor, it is, I think it was a Stadia Pro game a while back, and it is a stealth horror game that is okay for kids to play. Like, it's not gross or anything. It's appropriate for kids to play it, and it's a horror game, which is really, really cool. Republic is another stealth game, and then there's Sundered, which is this really cool Metroidvania style side-scrolling game. It's got a really, really cool art style. I stopped playing it mostly because I got stuck and couldn't figure out what to do next. We really need that feature where we can push the assistant button and say, hey Google, what do I do now? And up until that comes, I'm probably not going to jump back into Sundered, although that says more about my ability as a game player than it does about the game, because I think Sundered is really, really good. There are some new games coming to Google Stadia this week as well. Sekiro, or Sekiro, I don't know how to say it. Leave a comment down below that tells me how to say it. I'm just going to say Sekiro. Shadows Die Twice. This is a game made by From Software, the people who made Dark Souls. So that means that I'm going to be real bad at this game because I'm bad at Souls-like games. The only Souls-like game that I ever played was Dark Souls 3. That game is really good, but man, am I awful at it. Now, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice is really, really pretty. Like, that game is really gorgeous. But I don't think I'm going to be playing it very much because I'm bad at this kind of game. And I don't think it's in my ability to get better at this kind of game. At least, I don't think I like banging my head against the wall for long enough to get good, as the kids say. The other game that's coming the very next day is Watch Dogs Legion. This is a game where basically you are building up a rebellion against a surveillance state in London, and anybody that you talk to, this is the big selling point of the game, anybody that you talk to, you can then recruit into this rebellion and play as, and they all, like every person in the game, you can recruit and play as, and they all have their own perks and skills and stuff like that. Very, very interesting to see how that game plays. But keep in mind that that's one of those Ubisoft games that is going to be part of Ubisoft Plus. So if you are going to subscribe to Ubisoft Plus, then I would hold off and not buy that game yet, and just subscribe so that you have access to that and Phoenix Rising and, all the other Ubisoft games, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and all the other Ubisoft games that are coming out later on this year. I think it actually, the more I think about it, the more it sounds like a good deal. Okay, so we've gone from good news to bad news to good news. There's some more bad news. Let's talk about that bad news. I feel like all of this good news and bad news has given me whiplash going back and forth, but I promise this is the last part, all right? This is the last bit of news here, and that is that Cyberpunk has been delayed again. Like, oh my God, this game stopped giving us release dates. They just keep giving us release dates, and then they go away. I'm going to give you a little bit of history. The game was originally, like, in the Witcher 3 DLC, I believe, they teased the release date of this game as like an Easter egg. And it was originally supposed to come out in, I think it was April 16th. And then it got delayed until September 17th. And then it got delayed until November 19th, which is Stadia's birthday. And a lot of people were like, oh, it's going to be released on Stadia that day. And a lot of people were right, because that's the day it was going to be released on. We found this out like less than a week ago, or maybe a little tiny bit more than a week ago, that it was delayed until November 19th, and that's the day it was going to come out. Well, now it's been delayed again until December 10th. I think it's like 24 more days. Look, first off, why are they having a delay? Well, according to the tweet that came out, it has to do with the fact that they're shipping the game on 9 different platforms, and getting the QA done on all of those platforms is a lot. So some of you might be wondering, what do you mean 9 different platforms? Are there even 9 different platforms? Well, it depends on how you count things. So you've got like the PS4, the PS4 Pro, the Xbox One, the Xbox One S, the Xbox One X, the Xbox Series X, the Xbox Series S, the PS5, the PS5 no disc thing, although I think that that probably counts as the same one, and Stadia and PC. I'm counting some extra things here because I've got more than 9, but they're shipping it to a lot of different platforms. And because it's on so many different platforms, it's hard for them to get the quality control where it needs to be. And I know what people are saying. Well, hold on. Didn't the game just go gold? Like, they were tweeting about it going gold. Yes. So what does it mean for a game to go gold? Back in the day, like a long time ago, going gold basically meant that you had a version of the game that was done, and you would ship that off to the manufacturer, and the manufacturer would then make copies of that to put in boxes and stuff. Today, going gold means that the game is done and playable and finishable, but that doesn't mean that work on the game stops. They are going to continue working on stuff to fix things, hopefully before the release date. Now, they're not going to hit the release date of November 19th like they said, so they're asking for 24 more days. And I think, look, I would be happier if the game comes out and it is really good and not a buggy mess. That would be better for them. I mean, they're not launching in early access like Baldur's Gate 3 is. They are launching their game. And so it needs to be, I don't want to say done, but like the standard of quality needs to be higher because it is done. So I'm all for them taking their time and getting this game to us when it's ready. In fact, I think they should just go ahead and delay until next year. I know that CD Projekt Red has been requiring that devs work 6 days a week. You might disagree with me on that, but I don't think it's cool that they are required to work 6 days a week. Delay it even longer. Delay it so that the devs can have a good work-life experience and that the game is done when it's done. I think that would be better for everyone. So I've got 2 questions for you to answer right down below in the comment section. What's your favorite piece of good news? And what's your least favorite piece of bad news from today? Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.